For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's 41-28 loss to the Utah Utes. USC is now 4-3 overall on the season and 3-2 in the Pac-12. Dan, let's get it started. Your general thoughts from tonight.
Well, I mean, the score is deceptive. I mean, most people in the country didn't get to see it on television because it's on the Pac-12 network. So 41-28, they'll say, well, not so good. But if they only knew how one-sided this game was, if you don't look at the the total stats with Utah more than 500 yards of offense, USC barely 200, the disparity in pretty much every stat. I mean, Utah just beat USC in every way you can beat USC. Luckily, they tried a little too hard on some things and gave up the ball, and USC took advantage of them and got a circus catch on a touchdown. But USC was never in this game. Utah figured out how to defend USC, how to take the pass completely away pretty much from JT Daniels, how to take the receivers out, and they decided that's what they were going to do, which makes a great deal of sense. I don't know why people were trying to stop the run all the time, because Utah proved today you don't have to devote extra manpower to stop the run against USC. USC can't run the ball. It's something I think we've known all year, we've talked about all year, and Utah decided that's how we're going to play it, and they changed their defense for this game, and USC couldn't handle it at all. I mean, it didn't even have any chance, and finally JT gets run over and probably concussed, and we're not sure what's going to happen next week, but he didn't have a shot. I mean, he had no chance to do anything. Nobody was open. Most of the time he's throwing to receivers with two guys covered him, and it wasn't he picked the wrong guy. Most of them were double covered. I mean, they just didn't let USC run any of the stuff USC's had some success running. And then obviously with the one-sided number of plays, the USC defense just ran out of gas. I mean, you're up at altitude and with the crowd and all of that. Eventually, I mean, I thought they started off really well, but eventually Tyler Huntley and Zach Moss and those guys were just running away from USC's kids. Utah is really athletic. They're in person, when you see them now, they are quicker, faster. Their linebackers run as fast as USC's tailbacks. It was a mismatch in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And when asked what needs specifically to be changed in practice going forward, both Clay Helton and Michael Pittman said that the run game needs to be a priority. But when asked specifically how to change it, they didn't really have a tangible answer for us. But that seems to speak to a larger theme, is that things that need to be fixed in practice, maybe practice itself needs to be changed, doesn't really happen after losses like this happen.
Yeah, they haven't had the answer all year. They haven't fixed it all year. I mean, they ran it once against Arizona, but, so what? But in games against good athletes, they just can't run the ball. Can't block them. They basically have had some success as a pass blocking team, but not tonight. They couldn't really pass block all that well either. And Utah wasn't rushing with extra people. So I don't know how you fix things if you say the way we're going to do this is we're going to go back and look at the video and we're going to go over the video with the team. How does that get it done? I mean, we talk about the idea if you're a pro golfer and somebody says, I'll show you a video of your swing, but you don't have to go out and, hit 1,000 drives and go to the putting green for hours. No, you've got to actually do what you do in your game to perfect it. And I don't know that it seems like there's a missing connection between what they see on video and what they do at practice. Yeah. And when they get speeded up by a team like Utah that can play really fast and run by you, and on offense that you've got a quarterback who could just run out of tacklers who are grabbing or reaching out with their arm, and that just doesn't stop them. And that a lot of what we saw tonight, I think you can correct on the practice field. Whether you can correct it in a week, whether you had to be doing it since August, I think is what you see when you see a team like Utah that just keeps getting better and better and better. They're really good. I mean, I didn't, having watched them early in the year, I didn't realize, and they beat Stanford badly, but then you think, well, Stanford was kind of falling apart at the time, but they're really, really, really good. I'm extremely impressed with them for everything they did tonight, except the turnovers. They got to stop doing that and giving teams points, but otherwise, and yet. Hudley's never had a game that good. He's never played that well. He never, thrown and run it together as well as he did tonight. Is that USC's fault? You can just ask that question. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, well, you mentioned trajectories. Utah's looks like it's going forward, while USC looks like they're regressing as the season progresses. At the big picture, what does this do for this team? What does this do for this coaching staff? That they're not halfway through the season. They're not looking too good right now.
And, they're going to sell the idea that, we got a three-way tie in the Pac-12 South. We're 3 teams with 2 losses. Colorado, probably, if they don't have, Laviska, Chenault, and those guys come back, probably going to find it hard to sustain it. But Utah just getting better and better and look like they got, all kinds of, athletes. And I think a lot of people were, considering that, sure, they could beat USC tonight, but they may not be able to beat Oregon here later in the year. And USC could still, win out and have 2 losses to Utah's 3. Problem is, if Utah wins out, and right now you'd have to pick them over Oregon here, you would say that say USC wins out also, and they both have 2 losses, then Utah goes because they've got the tiebreaker, and that's a real problem for USC that they lost tonight, because I think this Utah team is good enough to win out.
Yeah. And as far as we mentioned the quarterback situation, Clay Helton said in his post-game presser that he's not sure what it looks like this week. It could be Matt Fink during practice getting those reps because of JT Daniels' concussion that he suffered in the second half. Dan, it seemed like the offense actually got rolling a little bit with Matt Fink in there. It seems like T. Martin kind of changes his game plan with Matt Fink. What do you think this offense look like if they have to go with Matt Fink?
Well, yeah, and Matt Fink didn't go against the Utah first string guys. And
Touche.
So he didn't have people right in his face and all of that. But I mean, if they're gonna go with Matt and more of a run-oriented game and an option quarterback keep and all that, they got to really work at it. Video isn't going to be enough. I mean, they haven't worked at the option enough. They haven't worked at the reads and the pitches and the keeps for Fink. They really have to get the blocking down. And that's going to be a lot of work. And I don't know that they can go with another regular week of practice if they're going to have to change what they do. I mean, it's just so obvious. I mean, that you even have to say that. If you're going to be forced to change significantly what you do on offense, you can't practice like you've been practicing. I mean, that seems like a point you should never have to make. But here, I mean, they basically, kind of have enshrined this, practice pattern. This is how we do things. This is who we are. We're doing them right. I mean, tonight you had guys, they're in something of a denial, and they're not totally reality-based, because you had guys saying, I think we're better than them. No, you're not. You're not better than Utah. You're not even close to being better than Utah. We just made some mistakes, or, we really, and you say, well, why? Why are you making those mistakes? We just didn't play 4 quarters, or what? Why not? And that's where you run out of answers, because from the coaches to the players, no one really can say, when you ask them the question why, what the answer to that is. They don't have an answer.
Yeah, and that kind of gives us, we kind of run out of things to say about this team, and this is a team that doesn't knowingly change or make corrections. I mean, if you're a USC fan, where do you go with this team now?
Yeah, I don't know. This team, I think, has got to win the USC fans back. And I mean, the question is, you got Arizona State coming in next week for a 12:30 game. What's that crowd going to look like? I mean, 42,000? Is that an overestimate? I don't know. But this is not a team that has is instilling in the USC fan base that this is a team we want to come out and root for. Not yet. Not. And not when you get to the middle of the year and it looks like you're heading downward. That's not the way. You want to pull for a team that looks like they're putting it together and making progress. And right now, this is not a team that's making progress.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up here?
It's a crucial week. And I think they shouldn't be afraid to just change everything that they're doing. And this team's in a routine that probably isn't a good thing for them. They need the routine change. They need the emphasis change. I would think, Tuesday, Wednesday, and full pads would be a really good idea. Whether we'll ever see that, I don't know. But I think, they've got to convince themselves that they can do it. And tonight it looked like they hit a place in this game where they said, they're better than us. We probably can't do it against this team on this night. And they were right. They couldn't. But it looked like they said, we don't have any answers for this game, tonight. And they've got to come up with answers, and they've got to go into next week believing that they really have the answers. And it's not just, well, we saw it, somebody told it to us. No, we did it. We know how to do it. We know we can do it, no matter who the quarterback is. You've got to believe that you can get it done. And I think it's going to be harder just because people are going to go to school on what Utah did with cover 2 and how Utah decided we're going to take out the passing game and we're still going to get to the quarterback. If teams can do that, there's very little you can do. And as USC proved tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, that's going to wrap it up from Rice Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.